The list of thriving ex-Cards grows.
Oh, no. Yeah, it does grow.
Is that the biggest, what are people bitching about the most right now about the organization?
Development of players.
Is that what it is?
Knowing the talent that they should keep versus the ones they get rid of. Because that article, I imagine, haven't read it yet from the paper today, but you're talking Jordan Hicks, man. He's got a 1.0 ERA after 18 innings and 3 starts. And it's like, that was your closer. Dude threw 100, so you said, let's make him your closer. But he never... A lot of times, relief pitchers, they become relief pitchers because they failed at some point as a starter. It's like, he can't do it for 6 innings. But that never really happened to Jordan Hicks in the minors. The Cardinals were just impressed with him, and they said, I think it was actually maybe Yachty that really pushed and said, we need this kid on our team today. And so he became a reliever. But there were times where the Cardinals kind of said, we're going to make you a starter, big boy. Like, this is your chance. But then it was kind of not a very long leash, truncated, a little bit haphazard, and then he just never really got that chance. The Giants, I think, did a really smart thing, and they said, look, we're going to pay you. It's going to be a handsome contract if all you are for us as a reliever, maybe a bit of an overpay, $11 million a year. For 4 years. That's the Steven Matz contract, though.
Yeah,
same exact numbers. Yep. And the Giants said, we're going to let you have your chance at being a starter. And I bet they also told him, hey, here's the thing. You could throw your sinker like this. You don't have to throw 105. Here's how you can get through 6 innings if you do this and tweak that. I think the Giants have some really smart pitching people on their staff that they're maybe able to get the most out of Jordan Hicks right now.
Why couldn't the Cardinals do it then?
I think that is you said what are people bitching about?
Okay.
Why is it always these guys need a change of scenery from the Cardinals and Tyler O'Neill goes to Boston and he's the best hitter in baseball?
Him and Mike Trout.
He's leading the league in everything. Mm-hmm. Like, what's going on there? And there are some reasons behind certain situations, but when it keeps happening, a Rosarena, a Dallas Garcia, a Lane Thomas, that's what people are going. Well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy at this point.
Wasn't he pitching? All of a sudden, his feet weren't right.
Well, that was,
and no one picked it up. Picked up on it,
and the cat sort of was like, was that maybe a nice, his landing spot on his pitching motion maybe was something that Waino said he should have caught that on video. He wasn't being diligent enough with his video work, and so that's why it went on for as long as it did. That was the end of the prior season when he was struggling real bad, and said, hey, this is why I was bad. It's going to be different now. And so the Cardinals gave him that extra year, which obviously was last year and ended up being a bust. But the cat was kind of alluding like, that landing spot thing, maybe that wasn't something, guys watch his bullpen. If that was something going on for months, do you really think that wouldn't have been caught? In my speculation, and the cat seemed to kind of nod along with this, was did it maybe happen for one start and then he attributed, that's why it was bad for 6 weeks because of this thing that happened once, and then it kind of smoothed everything over publicly and made it seem like, that must be why he struggled and isn't going to do it next year. He's going to be better because they figured it out. They got to the bottom of it. Well, maybe that wasn't really the root cause of everything the whole time, and then he comes in 2023, and he's also hurt. The shoulder was completely shot for him last year. We just didn't really know it at the time. We watched him pitch and said, something ain't right.
Yeah, dude.
But at the end of the day, at the end of the year, it's like, I've been pitching through injury. And by the time, and I get Cardinals fans are like, well, why were you letting him pitch? If that was going on. By that time, it's like, dude, this season is cooked. You can just see it's cooked. So let the guy try to get 200 wins.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah, and he did. And it all worked out in the end. And, he did his...
And now the team is great and they're thriving and they're not in last place. Well.
But what about the Rosarena thing? Schulte's...
Schulte.
And Schulte looked so goofy doing that.
Bro, it was funny, though.
It was funny, but it's like, if I'm a player, I always put the player perspective in there. Like, if my coach was talking like
maybe
that,
not everybody bought it.
Looks fake.
Maybe not everybody bought it.
We'd all look at each other like, what the hell is he doing?
I think he does have that. The players probably knew that Schulte had that side to him anyway, so I don't think they thought it was fake, but they might have thought it was goofy. They might have been like, dude,
what do you think happened with him?
Kind of nerdy-looking guy. What's going on there?
The hierarchy for the Cardinals were like, all right, this dude just filmed in the locker room. That is an absolute no-no.
I don't think that's why he was traded.
You don't think that? What percentage was that?
Could it have been a tiebreaker? I think that's maybe.
Well, why did they consider it anyway then?
Well, I don't know that they did for sure because I wasn't in the room on John Mozeliak texting the executives for the Tampa Bay Rays when that trade was going down. But put it in these terms: if the Cardinals want if they want Matthew Liberatore, this left-handed pitcher who's a first-rounder, and the Cardinals want to get this guy, and the Rays say, well, we're interested in some young outfield help. And you're like, well, we've got Harrison Bader, we've got this guy, we've got that, we've got Randy Arozarena. I don't know if that was the Cardinals laying out all their outfielders on the silver platter and the Rays going, we want this one, or if it was a case of the Cardinals said, we really prefer to trade a Rosarena. We want to keep this Bader guy. I don't know how those talks went.
Yeah.
Right? It ain't like it happens on MLB The Show. It ain't like it happens on a video game. So I can't say with certainty that the Cardinals were offering up a Rosarena specifically because they're like, he did Instagram. He's, whatever. I don't know that's what happened. If I'm the Rays, I look at this guy and he's got tools. So I'm thinking, maybe I would prefer to get this guy instead of some of the other players.
We could tell him to put his phone away, and he's going to be a good ball player.
And he sure has been. So that's just, but the Cardinals, they also had to give up something to get something. They wanted the left-handed pitcher, and I get it. Liberatore has not panned out as a starter. Now they've got him in the bullpen. We'll see how it goes. But the Cardinals at the time said, we need this guy because we haven't been able to develop the young pitcher that could be a frontline starter. And they still kind of haven't. That's why they're going for a Lance Lynn and a Kyle Gibson in the offseason, spending some money, not as much as fans would like to see them spend, but they're having to backfill that rotation because they don't have the young guys coming up that can take those jobs and do it for free. I say free, $700K. Yeah. They don't have those guys that are giving you that salary flexibility.
You need that, man.
You do.
Kind of like what Baltimore's doing right now. Did they win again last night, too? Yeah, didn't they?
Who's winning is the Royals, which is really weird. They beat the Astros' asses this week.
Really?
They swept them. Yep. They scored 9 runs in the first inning on Houston. Houston's like 4-10. But, Baltimore did win again yesterday.
I don't like Houston, but let me ask you guys, who are the 3 biggest scumbags in the MLB? Text line, let me hear what you have to say.
Let Cole answer that question.
The 3 biggest scumbags with the worst reputation in the MLB currently right now, who is it?
Cole, do you have a name?
I got one.
Okay, you go.
No, you guys go for it. And the text line, I want to hear from you, too.
I guess for the people who are still offended by the Astros, there's some carryover effect to
Altuve?
I was going to say Carlos Correa, but Altuve certainly being one of them. But Carlos Correa had this whole Ken Rosenthal interview, I'm sure, Brendan, you recall, where he basically grabbed the microphone and looked in the camera and said STFU to everybody for you gotta think you know what you're talking about, you don't, and so it's a non-story, so bleep off essentially. Was
he the guy that's bitching about? Was he the guy that's making a ton of money that's not performing at all? And he says, "I'm not here. I'm thinking about my family."
That's Anthony
Rendon,
dude.
That would have pissed me off.
He started 0 for 21 this season.
And that's such a cop-out.
He's in Chris Davis territory.
That's a cop-out. I don't care. I just worry about my family. What?
He's batting 150.
We all worry about our family, you jackass. Start performing.
How do you think his teammates hearing that, dude?
That's how I don't care. I'm struggling. I worry about my family.
I didn't have a problem with that
really?
at all.
You didn't?
No.
About what he said?
I forget what the question was.
That's a cop-out.
But saying that sports is the number 3 priority behind faith and family, I got no problem with it.
Get out of here.
I got no problem with that.
Get out of here.
You put your...
Get out. We all do.
Yeah.
We all do.
Exactly.
You're not performing. You are not performing. You think that's what the fan base wants to hear? You think that's what your teammates want to hear? You think that's what the organization wants to hear? That's number 3 on your list because you're a family man? Everybody's like, shut the hell up. I'm a family man too.
He doesn't play. He got the big contract and he's always injured. That's another thing with him.
I forget what the question was, but I remember thinking that the question, based off the question that was asked, that was not an unfair answer. So
I saw that and I'm like,
the last 3 years before this year, he played in 58 games, 47 games, and then 43 games. So it's kind of like, is this guy just always a little banged up and he's not willing to play through? Is he? What's going on with this guy?
My faith in family.
And then he makes the comment that's like, I don't really care about all this that much. It's not really a high priority for me.
Wow.
It's
I like that money, though.
It's almost like a Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Except Marshawn Lynch is funny.
Yeah, and he performs.
And he performs.
Yeah. But imagine you're the owner, I'm paying this son of a bitch $25 million, and he's acting like he doesn't give a damn. Screw you.
Cam, his contract, Anthony Rendon.
What's he got?
7 years, 245 schmilly.
Don't get after.
The Angels
That's
get it wrong.
$250 million
all the time.
I don't care. It's my faith.
I feel bad, dude. The Angels actually try to spend money. They spend a lot of money. And
just badly.
Everybody they get is wrong.
Last year they tried to go all out too. I remember we were talking about the Angels, they're trying to make the damn playoffs. Good for them. They're going all in.
Albert Pujols was a terrible contract. Josh Hamilton was a terrible contract. C.J. Wilson was a terrible contract. Anthony Rendon's a terrible contract.
So Rendon, who else did you say? Carrera? Scumbag.
Correa. Well,
Carlos Correa, yeah.
Okay.
The Astros stuff doesn't even
All right, want me to tell you mine?
I want to hear your name.
Who do you think it is?
Sharon said Jim Edmonds.
Come on, girl.
Sharon.
Jimmy's cool, and he'd be nice to you too, Sharon. Trust me.
She
Even if you tweeted about him.
So here's the thing. I want the cat to say his, or not the cat. Cam, I want you to say yours, because if it's the same as mine, I'll tell you the truth.
Who do you think?
And I'm not.
Who do you think it is?
I want you to go first.
All right,
I'll give you a.
You gonna give me a hint?
You give one, we'll pass it around.
He's a weirdo.
Oh.
Trevor Bauer?
No, he's not playing.
I don't think my guy's a weirdo necessarily. How about you go?
A weirdo.
Like politically or
He did a weird thing the other day.
the other? Am I
Touch.
Are you going to talk about Aroldis Chapman?
Yeah, god dang right.
man?
What do you think I'm going to talk about?
Okay, so
Grabbed his grandmommy's breast.
I think it was his mom.
And then he beats up his wife. Like,
So
this
he had
guy's a
some-
scumbag.
Okay,
The
yes.
guns on the
Thank
bed
you.
was
Come on.
so mine. And
Come
again,
on.
I cover baseball, so I'm not trying to rip, but some of the stuff with Marcelo Zuna was what I was going to say is another
He's
guy
another
where it's
one.
like, okay, and maybe he's cleaned up his act. I don't know,
Do
but
people outside of St. Louis hate him?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
but it's because of the domestic violence stuff. I
Yeah,
think.
and the whole Mizuno from the Braves with the DUI
That's a
thing.
bad look. That's a bad look. But
That was humiliating,
It kind of
but he
tracks
did it to
with
himself.
It's kind of tracks with like
So
what
it's
I
fair.
saw from him when he was in St. Louis
Ozuna,
in the clubhouse.
Chapman. Chapman.
Who's number
What,
two?
hey, what do you think happened when that video came out and he walked in the locker room next day?
I don't know.
What do you think?
Do you think anybody even bothered to say anything to him?
God, yes.
You
How
think
can you not?
But what if he's the guy
He
on the
just
team?
got there, though.
What if he's the guy on the team that like we don't talk to that? We're not chirping that guy. We're not even gonna because you chirp him if he's your buddy, maybe.
And
But
he's getting bashed behind
Also,
closed
behind
doors.
his
so
back.
freaking bad.
Aroldis Chapman has pedigree in Major League Baseball. You know who doesn't? All of the rookies on the Pirates.
yeah, he can
Did
also
the rookies and the Pirates grab their grandma's breasts
Well,
and
no.
fondle them?
And
then,
technically, he didn't either.
I mean, come on.
it was his mom.
It was his mom.
Oh, my God.
Not that that's better, but I just for context. Just saying.
I mean,
That's a good point, though. The Pirates are a young team, and this guy, he also can throw a projectile object at 100 miles per hour. I'm just saying that's a little threatening.
Yeah. So who else? Who
who
we
we
missing?
missing here? There's got to be a couple more scumbags.
Hey, I contributed the most I could without getting myself into hot water, so
Yeah.
I'm
Remember,
Oh,
John
so
Rocker would have
they're
been up
Cardinals, is what you're
No,
saying.
I don't have any that are on the Cardinals, but I'm just saying, like, oh, this guy, you never know. Cam talks about, hey, don't tweet out the crazy stuff he says. You never know that if you're like, there's a guy that I say, oh, I think this guy sucks, and then he's a Cardinal 2 years from now. It's like, oh,
there. Yeah, I
Shoot.
Well, listen, if,
Well, wait,
if
hold on,
Chapman's
but
a Cardinal in 2
time out.
years, I'm still chirping his ass.
Well, I know you
if
will.
you think the guy sucks, then why would you protect him in 2
oh,
years?
shut up.
I'm serious.
It's not a protection. It's I'm going to be in the clubhouse and I might have to hear from him if he were to get wind. Like the odds are so low. But if he were to get wind that you said
You think our show's
something
more famous
out
than
of
it is.
pocket against somebody. No. Believe me, I shouldn't be. I have people go, I've got his tweet. I have your tweet notifications on. I'm like, that's a terrible idea. Why would you get notified when I tweet? My tweets are stupid. I tweet like 28 times a day. You don't need those notifications on. And yet, there was the time that I talked about where Colton Wong was like, dude, I saw what you tweeted. That's not cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? How does that even? So you just, if it can happen once, it can happen again. So you just want to make sure that you're respectful. And then if it's somebody that you'll probably never interact with, yeah, you can unbutton a little more. And maybe be more willing to say, screw that guy.
Let's
Yeah.
tie this back into our conversation at 8 o'clock.
Oh, God.
I'm serious.
Go for it.
Because I think that you just distanced yourself from fans.
I didn't.
We're having some water cooler talk. Hey, top 3 biggest scumbags in baseball, and you're like, I don't want to say because they might be Cardinals. Then I have to go talk to them later on. I think that you're not talking like a fan right now.
And when did I claim I was trying to talk like a fan? I've been very open about what my role is. I've been very open about it. But specific to this question, it's not like I had somebody in my mind.
Okay.
It was just like,
Well, if you didn't,
Oh, I did.
you could.
I didn't
said
either.
Ozuna, and it was somebody that I've covered, and I'm like, yeah, I seen the way this guy
Ozuna
acts.
from the
and
Braves?
it's like, all right, Ozuna from the Braves. Like that's a little, But I'm saying you could name somebody from the Cincinnati Reds right now, and if I were to go, oh yeah, I think this, my perception of this guy who I've never met. It's the same thing with Hockey Bob's talking about strangers just having opinions on these people. If there's a guy from the Reds that I've never met or talked to, and in 3 years he's a Cardinal, and then I think back and go, I kind of talked some smack on that guy when I really didn't know what I was talking about. If that distanced me from a fan, then so be it. But like that's how that is how I kind of think about it. Little bit of a modicum of responsibility on that kind of thing.